When you defeat all the "I want to speak to your manager" bosses, and the final boss appears. Alright, welcome to today's video everyone. Today we're going to be going over r/if YouKaren. It's a subreddit that needs no explanation, but I'll give it one anyhow. It's where people share stories of the most annoying and the most entitled people who try to get everything they want and just act like absolute dickheads. Sorry, have you heard the music I'm listening to? I very clearly have an intellectual disability. Forgot this sub existed, and I did say something very embarrassing, but I'm not the Karen here. We'll be the judge of that. Currently, I am recovering from a severe sneezing event. Wish I was kidding. Sneezed a bit too close to the sun, bulged a disc, compressed my sciatic nerve, much pain, very cannot walk properly. Side note, you ever tried pooping standing up? It's not fun if you miss the ball. Meaning sadly that I, M34, need my disabled 56-year-old mother to drive me places at the moment now that I am getting off my 3 weeks of sick leave. Returning from one such errand involves stopping at the local shop so she could buy food. I decided to stay in the car and listen to some music. As she is disabled, has the badge and was going in on her own, she parked in the disabled spaces opposite the front door, as why wouldn't she? 10 minutes pass as I'm listening to the newish Darko US album. If unfamiliar, very low-tuned metal with synths that can only be described as alien noises, when there's a tap on the window. It should be noted, but you're all probably smarter than the average Karen and had already correctly assumed that I am in the front passenger seat of the car. When I wind down the window and ask our mid-60s looking Karen if there is anything I can help her with, apparently I shouldn't be taking up a valuable disabled space despite having several disabled symbol bumper stickers as she walked past the car to get to me, despite having the blue badge sticking visibly in the windshield even from the other side of the car. That it's drivers like me taking the mic, not Mick or Mickey. She said Mike, preventing disabled people from using these spots whilst I just wait in my car. So me, feeling a little cheeky and having been prescribed some delicious morsels of a member of the benzodiazepine family of drugs, inform our Karen as outlined in my title, as I was about to then also point out that I wasn't even in the driver's seat. Mother pressed the button on her key fob to open the car boot, so I can only assume our Karen spotted the wobbly woman with a walking stick approaching, huffed at me, then walked away. She wasn't the first to cross our paths, and she won't be the last. If memory serves, I also once offered to make a Kevin disabled if he wanted my mother's parking space so badly. That interaction I do regret. But the self-anointed parking warden Karens and Kevins seemed to find my mother at an alarmingly frequent rate. I've told her to take the stickers off her bumper. My cynical ass can feel a fraudulent insurance claim coming our way, or some dodgy ne'er-do-well hitting her on purpose. But I digress. Thank you for listening to my pain-induced ramblings. This is why there's the old adage of, mind your own damn business. I think the people who require these spots, like the disabled people who are entitled to them, use them. If there's someone in their space, they will know the signs of whether or not it is or isn't a disabled person's car, like say that don't have the correct sticker or it's clearly out of date or whatever. They'll know, and at that time if someone else is there and they need it, they can help out and you can figure out the situation. But just randomly going up to cars is going to have a pretty bad success rate, because you're probably just going to go and piss off a lot of disabled people. I don't know if my rambling ended in anything at the end, but if you got what I mean, you got what I mean, but whatever. COVID era Karen got shut up. For context, my mother regularly takes my sister shopping. My sister is nearly completely deaf and relies on lip reading. Nearly 4 years ago exactly, me and my mother were doing our Christmas food shop. As explained, my mother is used to shopping with my sister. I will only let her take me shopping on that one specific day just before Christmas because she's got enough to do without me bumming lifts twice a month. So we were at the checkout and she instinctively pulled her mask down to speak before putting it back up. The Karen behind me yelled out, "People like you are why COVID is spreading." Now, I'm usually quite calm, but that's my mum she's yelling at. You do not talk to my mum like that, or you deal with me. I span around and yelled, she's used to talking to my sister who needs to see her lips because she's deaf. I realize that's a strange concept to you, as you clearly only opened yours to insult old women and shove sausage rolls in, if up or if off. Cue Karen meltdown, trying to get me thrown out of the shop. Fellow shoppers back me up, checkout girl back me up. She ended up causing so much commotion and got thrown out without being allowed to finish her shop. I kind of felt bad that she wasn't able to at least finish paying for her shop. She clearly had a family to feed, but I'd hope if someone ever yelled at her the way she yelled at my mum, her kid would do for her as I do for mine. Like, yelling back at people isn't something I tend to do. That doesn't make this person wrong to be doing it. Just not something I tend to do. Not my personality, but you get what you give. It's not like this person just took their freaking mask off just because they wanted to, like, F everyone stay up. It was clearly a mistake. You didn't even need, like, the deaf sister for it to be an obvious mistake. It just was an obvious mistake. It's not that deep, you know? So, like, shut up. I mean, I worked in supermarkets during the pandemic. So much worse happened. I also worked in bars during the pandemic, when you'd have like 300 people in the bar while COVID was going around, and the only people required to wear masks were the workers. Yeah, we got COVID a few times. Drunk customer. Going to try and make this quick. I work at a dispensary and it was about 9:30 at night. I just got done helping an older gentleman pick out an eighth, 3.5 grams of a sativa. I called up the next customer. She also wanted a sativa. I asked her for a budget and quantity. She asked about any sales, and I told her I had some eighths for $12, quarters 7 grams for $27, and half ounces 14 grams for $50. She huffed and puffed and asked for strains, so I started rambling some off. She decided to start verbally degrading me and just being nasty. Oh, F it, just give me the effing book and I'll look at it so I can. F this, F that. So me being me, with zero ability to hide emotions, said F this and opened the door to the back room and asked for my coworker to help assist this woman. I even told her I won't help her. I started helping an online order and she shouted at me that she was ready. I told her again that she needed to wait and I refused service to her. Do I need to break something? She yelled and picked up my coworker's tip jar and threw it on the ground, shattering it. I told her to get the F out. She said to call the cops. I have a mace at work. I was so tempted to just blast her in the face and punch her in the jaw. She ended up leaving and my manager is going to be reviewing the footage later. I'm going to demand a raise. I don't get paid enough to deal with this BS. I feel like the whole usage of the mace and punching someone in the jaw is a little bit hyperbole there. Like, they did think it, but they were probably never going to do it. Maybe the mace, but they weren't going to just randomly punch someone. Not that it's that random, actually. I don't know how they've made it to this place, like to this place in their life. I don't know how they've managed to grow old and still be alive and what have you. Do I need to break something for you to help me? No, ma'am. If I'm not going to help you, breaking something is just going to get you kicked out. Duh. I don't know. Clearly an absolute idiot. I don't know what is going on. Normally it's the whole thing of like, oh, you know, alcoholics, they get all like angry or whatever. And then you get all the stoners and they're like, oh. But clearly not this woman. The stuffed animal incident. Now, this is something that happened a couple years ago, so I don't remember all the details. However, I'll give you a rundown of what I remember. I was a relatively green employee at the local secondhand store. As I carried toys from the back of the store to the aisle, woe, for I had come across a retail worker's worst nightmare. An old crone stood before me with the expression of a bulldog that had pureed skunk injected directly into her olfactory nerve. In her hand was a stuffed animal as large as her torso. The unfortunate creature was clutched tightly in the irate woman's claws. With a voice like vinegar in a wound, she raved about how $3 was too much for such a blush. As a lowly store employee, it was my unfortunate duty to adhere unwaveringly to store policy. I could not lower the price. Alas, for my apologetic words only angered the banshee as she waited and threw more of the unfortunate stuffed creatures upon the floor. As her rage shook the heavens, she demanded that she be given the creature for free. It was against the code of laws set forth by my employer to crave for these demands. And so, the demand from my manager spit forth from her foaming maw. Finally, an opening for me to call for reinforcements. Our hero, the manager, came forth to save the day. As I cowered behind the employee's only door, had the battle begun between the manager and the crone gone on for much longer, I am certain that the sky may have cracked open and the ground given way to fire and brimstone. In the end, the monster was defeated, banished to I know not where. On that day, good triumphed. I know not when the next battle shall be, but I know that I shall stand firm. The writing on this is extremely fun. But as anyone could pick out from that, it's just an angry Karen who wants a stuffed toy for free because $3 is way too much money. I mean, we don't know when this story takes place, but even as a kid, I used to pay more than $3 for a stuffed toy. So this was definitely before my time. I mean, $3, that's freaking amazing. All right, well, I think that's all the Karen stories for today. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you liked, enjoy, subscribe, do all that cool stuff, and we'll see you in another video. Tip your servers.